Chapter 18, Super Jealous. There's a principle of radiation physics called decay. All radioactive material slowly loses its radioactivity. It never drops to zero, but it constantly diminishes according to a formula called half-life. I was beginning to believe that decay applied to friendships too. When I first met Donovan, my life was an endless loop of learning, understanding, internalizing, and predicting. He showed me that knowing a lot was fine, but it was overrated. I needed unpredictability, randomness, fun. So, like the radioactivity of an isotope, our friendship would never go all the way down to zero, but it was getting harder and harder to keep it up. Donovan had changed. He was angry at me for being the super kid. Didn't he remember I was doing this for him? I tried to get him to come forward and take credit for being a hero. He wouldn't do it. He was too worried about being caught in #'s neighborhood. And when I saw how worried he was about being caught, I did what any good friend would do. I stepped in and took the pressure off him. No one would look for a super kid if they already had one. Me. How was I supposed to know how great it was going to be? A know-it-all would have known, but that was the old Noah. I wasn't such a know-it-all anymore. I got a D on my salad bowl. I was being considered for remedial classes. Besides, there had been no data to analyze, no scientific method to follow that would have enabled me to predict how awesome I was about to become, or that I would love it as much as I did. Just walking through the halls at school, the air practically crackled with ions at 2 or even 3 times their usual positive charge. When I made eye contact with someone, it was like a spark from a Van de Graaff generator. Girls left sweet-smelling notes in my locker. Guys wanted to be my friend. # was talking about running me for student body president as a freshman next year in high school. It was paradise. But there was only one problem: Donovan. But Noah, we were on the bus. Can't you see it's all based on a lie? I see that it started out based on a lie, I admit it, but it's based on the fact that I'm the super kid. Which is a lie, he insisted. Not at all, I explained. The lie is that I saved the Mercury house. Saving a house is something you do, and I didn't. Being the super kid is something you are, and I am. My theory was that, even though Donovan didn't want to be the super kid himself, he resented the fact that my life had become fantastic, and his was still nothing much. I hadn't had much experience with jealousy before now. At the academy, all anyone cared about was grades or summer internships or awards or IQ points. I always had most of these things, so I was out of the envy loop. But at Hardcastle Middle School, I was starting to see what a corrosive emotion jealousy could be. It's not jealousy, you little maniac, Donovan rapped at me. You're riding so high that you're bound to screw up and say the wrong thing, especially to that Trussman bloodhound, and then we're both toast. I was kind of insulted that he would think that I couldn't handle myself around a few harmless questions. Donovan had the idea that Mr. Trussman was trying to trip me up. Nothing could have been further from the truth. No one appreciated the super kid more than Mr. Trussman. Not even Hardcastle papers had given more attention to my story than the Russ Trussman Hour. He visited our house so often that Dad had started to joke about charging him rent. He'd even stayed for dinner a couple times. He was like family. And not just to us. The Mercurys invited him to bring a camera crew to Megan's birthday party. Mr. Trussman was going to do a special on my triumphant return to the place that made me famous. For some reason, that really freaked Donovan out. Don't you get it? He's stalking you. You've never been to a party in your life. Your guard will be down, and you'll let something slip that he shouldn't know. Please, Noah, stay away from that party. I can't, I told him honestly. I promised Megan I'd be there. She's my head cheerleader. She'd be devastated if I didn't come. I'm the most popular person in our entire school. I know that sounds like fun and games to someone like you, but it's also a big responsibility. If I don't show up, the whole party will be a flop. Then he said something really mean. If your 206 IQ meant anything more than a locker combination, you'd know that Megan Mercury would rather see you at the bottom of the ocean than poolside at her birthday party. Megan likes me, I protested. He stared down at me. She doesn't, Noah. She pretends to, but to her, you'll always be the guy who ruined her cheerleading squad. I was outraged. I'm a great cheerleader. He shook his head. You've gotten better. You might even be good someday, but you're never going to be a great cheerleader. I forgave him for that because it was just the jealousy talking. I could see, though, that it was beginning of the end of our friendship. My super kid status had brought me a lot of happy moments. When I looked to the future, I saw so many good things ahead, like being famous and having a lot of friends. But standard probability analysis told me that Donovan wasn't likely to be one of them. I missed him already. Megan's party was scheduled for noon, but I didn't want to be late. So I got there at 11:05 just to be on the safe side. Happy birthday, I announced at the door, and she looked at me like I had two heads, and I added, is that what you're wearing to the party? These are my pajamas, Noah. You're a little early. Can't you, go someplace for a while and come back when the party's supposed to start? Okay, I agreed. Where do you want me to go? She turned bright red but didn't offer any suggestions. Here, I thrust my gift bag into her hands. It's a biography of Dr. Robert Oppenheimer, also known as the father of the atomic bomb. Just what I always wanted, she said flatly. I walked around the neighborhood for a while, but there was a queen bee that kept chasing me, and I had a bad allergy to stings from pollinating insects. So I knocked on Hashtag's door. You kid-ater, he greeted me. Come on in, man, the guys are here. He was talking about Zane and a couple other lacrosse players. They were invited to the party too, since they were also popular, like me. Hashtag ushered me into the living room. Yo, look who I found. Super kid in the house, hooted Dane, and everybody high-fived me. This happened to me all the time now that I was famous. Make yourself comfortable, Uke, Hashtag invited. We're just doing a little pre-gaming. There's a game? I was alarmed. What about Megan's party? As it turned out, pre-gaming meant just hanging out before a party because only losers show up early. This was another thing I could have never learned at the academy, even though the curriculum there was supposed to be so advanced. The guys were playing something called Bangladesh, which had more to do with punching people than the real country in Asia. One player would declare Bangla, followed by the name of a body part, like Bangla chest or Bangla knee. And then he would hit the other person on the spot. As the super kid, I didn't have to participate, but I said I would because I didn't want special treatment. I got banged the stomach, and Zane punched me so hard I couldn't breathe, and I almost threw up the cereal I had for breakfast. Then everybody got mad at Zane, and I couldn't tell them I was okay because all the wind was knocked out of me. But guys, I barely touched him, Zane pleaded. I was going easy. It took 3 of them to hold Hashtag back from attacking Zane. You could have hurt you Killinator. Just a diaphragm spasm, I managed to croak, brought on by a blow to the abdomen that put pressure on the solar plexus. Yeah, well, whatever it is, Hashtag seethed at Zane. Don't ever do it again. But as angry as everyone was, they all made up when it was time to hide the smashed china figures that had been on the coffee table I fell over. Hashtag kept asking me if I was sure I was fine. I don't think Donovan was ever this concerned about my welfare. Hashtag said we could even play Bangladesh anymore because it was too dangerous. Then everyone got bored really fast, so we decided it was time to go to the party. By this time we were a little late, which was okay because Hashtag liked to make an entrance when the party was already in full swing. Since I was the super kid, my entrance made the entrance even better. The camera crew from Channel 4 filmed the whole thing, and Russ Trussman made all the guests sign release forms if they wanted to be on TV with me. Everybody signed. I'd never been invited to a party before, so I'd spent the past week researching them on YouTube. It wasn't very helpful, though, because there were so many different kinds of parties. Tea parties, costume parties, political parties, Tupperware parties, toga parties, sleepover parties, a plethora of parties, in fact. There was one party in Texas where everybody had to ride a mechanical bull. I hoped Megan didn't do that here. My solar plexus still hurt. Mostly this was a swimming party, although it could also be considered an eating party. Mostly pizza and chips and a big birthday cake. Megan blew out the candles, but I didn't eat my piece because what if she sprayed? I was hoping to avoid going to the pool, but the girls made me. So many of them had helped me pick out my bathing suit, and they insisted on seeing it in action. I did okay in the shallow end, but pretty soon, Shane and Vanessa tugged me into the middle. When I tried to touch the bottom with my toe, I went under. I inhaled a lot of water and started choking and flailing around. My memory's a little hazy on what happened next, because most of the panicking and all that. There was definitely a lot of yelling. Vanessa waited. "He's drowning." And someone, possibly hashtag, bellowed, "The Yukinator went under." A voice a lot like Megan's screamed, "Dad, do something." There was a gigantic splash, and a second later, Mr. Mercury was dragging me over to the side. He boosted me up to the pool deck, climbed out himself, and pounded me on the back until I stopped wheezing. He said, "Hey, you just saved me like I saved you. Isn't it amazing how life comes full circle?" Obviously, Mr. Mercury wasn't much of a philosophy fan. He turned long-suffering eyes on his daughter. "You could have let me take my phone out of my pocket before you pushed me in, honey." "What else could I do?" Megan defended herself. "He was ruining my party." "I get it," I told her, teeth chattering a little. Irony. Worrying about the party when someone's life might be in danger. "If you say so," she muttered under her breath. Mr. Trussman got a little suspicious after that. "You can't swim?" "It's not among my capabilities," I confirmed. His gaze narrowed. "Then how were you able to get out of the truck when it was in the pool?" But I wouldn't be so ensnared so easily. When I climbed through the cab window, I was able to reach the side of the pool. Then I just hoisted myself up. Mr. Trussman gave me a long look and wrote it all down.